call to order the Village of Westmont Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting for Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Simpson is absent tonight. Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Peterson is here. Commissioner Sharp?
Here.
Commissioner Lynn?
Here.
Commissioner Donahue?
Here.
Chairperson Carmichael. Are you here?
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as long as everyone's standing, anyone who testifies tonight has to be sworn in, so please raise your right hand, swear that any and all testimony you give tonight will be the complete truth, so help you God. Thank you. Another reminder, everyone please silence your electronic devices. And another reminder that anyone who testifies has to sign in either at the podium or we have another sign-in sheet out in the hallway with your contact information and your names. Next item is approval of minutes of our 23 July special meeting. Do I have an approval? Do I have a motion?
Motion, Donahue.
Second. Motion Donahue, second Thomas. Discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson votes yes. Commissioner Sharp?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
And Chairperson Carmichael.
Yes. Okay, next item is a review of public hearing procedures. First, the applicants will come forward and present their petitions, followed by staff comments, and then the public gets a chance to weigh in, and finally the commissioners will they can make comments, ask questions, whatever they want, and hopefully we get to a vote at the end of each agenda item. A reminder that this commission is a recommending body only, that the village board will have final say on your agenda items. Under old business, I see none. We'll move on to new business. First is a public hearing PZC 014-2025. This agenda item has been withdrawn because under our newly adopted Code of Ordinances, this type of business that was requesting a special use permit is now a permitted use, and there's no need for them, so they have withdrawn. Next item is public hearing PZC 015-2025, a request from Ajradeen and Ikmet Rizmani for the property at 500 Revere Avenue in Westmont for the following: a zoning ordinance variance to the maximum lot coverage in the R3 single-family detached residence district for a patio. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Okay, just go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got the mic, you've got the stage.
Sure.
It'll pop up.
Got it. All right. My name is Ikmet Rizmani, as you stated. I'm a owner of the house at 500 Revere Avenue in Oakwood. And here, in regards to the variance request to the property, I'll just go kind of through the slides. I apologize, a little nervous, never been in a public hearing before, so please bear with me. Like I mentioned, my name, I'm a longtime resident of Westmont, graduated at Westmont High School, 2000. Both the boys and my wife that's here, that you see there, currently go to Westmont. One is at the high school right now. He's going to be a sophomore, and the other one is attending Manning. Been married for 20 years. As a longtime resident, we try to do our best to maintain the property and character, not just of our property, but also Oakwood subdivision and, of course, the rest of Westmont as well. We are requesting a zoning variance to allow the construction of a cement patio that exceeds the allowable lot coverage. The variance is necessary to accommodate the modest outdoor improvement that enhances the usability of the patio while also addressing potential structural integrity of the foundation/fireplace. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming slides. Overview of the request. Again, the location of the property is at 500 Rivera Avenue. The contractor involved that's going to be doing the work is Iban Marino. The company is called Prestige Outdoors. Project involves a cement patio that's currently a cement, but it's going to be extended a bit. Addition that slightly exceeds the zoning limits. Like I mentioned, current lot coverage is 40%, and the new one would push that up to 42.86%. The lot's configuration limits the placement options for outdoor improvements and family enjoyment, and I'll speak to that a little bit when I show the current photos as well. It's just the cement and the patio currently set up. It's kind of small. There's also a little bit of an overhang of the house in the back that covers going about 1.5 to 2 feet, which kind of limits you. It's up goes to the shoulder. It limits you from placing anything in there as well. Also, in regards to the structural around the fireplace, it has dipped. The cement has dipped in it. So anytime it rains or anything like that happens, the water is actually going towards the foundation. And over time, that could potentially cause erosion and other complications with the foundations and the fireplace as well. So the request variance is modest, yet it will significantly enhance the property's functionality and enjoyment by just not the family, but also the neighbors. We're a big family, also enjoy hanging out with all the neighbors around Oakwood. We love the city, we love the area. We've been here for a very long time, 20 plus years, and we don't have any plans on moving anytime soon. So hope to make the change and it's something that we can enjoy going forward. These are some of the pictures in regards to the property. So the top left, you'll see it's kind of an aerial overview just taken from Google Maps. The one on the right is more of a zoomed in right around the area I was talking about. It's the basement downstairs. You see that overhang from the house, and then also right towards the fireplace there, the wall, where that crack is, and in the corner, there's a dip. It's not super visible on the picture here, but there's definitely a dip. So the water, every time it rains, it kind of goes towards the corner and to the foundation. So that's another, as we're going to redo this, that's another issue that I'm trying to address as well in regards to the structural integrity. The lower left picture, you kind of see overall size to kind of give everybody an idea what that looks like. And as you see there, there's a small table, and if you put chairs around it and you just add a grill, right now it's pushed under that overhang. There's not that much room to move around or do anything. So the thought was to extend that a little bit, add maybe a little bit of fireplace so people can just sit around, hang out, and also enjoy it. Something else I did not include on this that I completely forgot about because it's been years ago. About 7 or 8 years ago, right before COVID, we had sort of a flash floods that occurred similar to the last few days we've seen where water just comes down very fast. My sump pump overheated, causing some water to get into the basement as a result of it. And during that time, I figured I'll just kind of step back and take analysis of everything. The perforated pipe that was in the back goes through the backyard and connects to the city drainage that's in the corner of the property. That was completely redone. So I know this is in regards to variance, but it's all about making sure we have the proper drainage, right? So that's something I wanted to share, that was, I removed the perforated pipe at that time, 7 or 8 years ago, and installed a brand-new PVC piping that goes from the sump pump all the way back and connects to the city drainage. Then that was, it should be in the cases because there's a permit drawn out for that as well. As a result of that, towards the back of the yard, I also extended a drainage that sits there so that as the water comes down and it goes in there, it connects and also helps it properly drain into the city sewage. Oh, you don't get what I'm trying to say. So, taking into account, and I put a heavy consideration and amount of as far as water, when there's heavy amount of water that comes down, to make sure there's proper drainage. And I think once that kind of happens to you the first time, it's always in the back of your mind. You know, you always worry about water accumulation, especially if it rains too heavy and things like that, and getting it into your house. So definitely high concern from my part as well. I just wanted to share that. And then the bottom right-hand image is in regards to what the property would look like if I have the approval to move forward the project. And that includes a little bit of a fireplace there as well. This is a plat survey that I also included. It includes a little bit more detailed view in regards to the lot. And then also wanted to include a letter of support from the Oakwood Association. So I reached out to them explaining exactly the plan and the project, and then of course the case with City of Westmont that I'm going through right now, the situation for approval. And they sent a letter of approval that's stating there's no concerns to move forward from their side. Again, the family, our family, believe that the request is reasonable and well supported. It enhances the functionality of the property for our family and neighbors without disrupting the community standards and also causing any other, if anything, it will raise the property values, not just my house, but also contribute to the raising the property values in Oakwood as well as Westmont. So I thank you for your time.
Certainly. Thank you. Staff comments.
Thank you, Chair. So 500 Revere Avenue, as mentioned, it's located in the Oakwood subdivision. It's at the intersection of Oakwood Drive and Revere Avenue. The property itself has a single-family home, detached. It's a single-family detached residency. It has a shed, garage, and then it has a patio and a wood deck as well in the rear. The request tonight is for an expansion of the concrete patio with the fireplace as well. The property is currently at approximately 40% lot coverage, which in the Oakwood subdivision is the maximum that is allowed through administrative approvals through our engineer. The reason that all of Oakwood is under 40% lot coverage rather than the normal 35 in the R3 district is because they've had improvements in their detention basins when Oakwood was initially constructed in the 1970s. So that's your Lake Charles and some of the other improvements on the north end of Oakwood. So generally the whole subdivision can go up to 40%. The request tonight is for the petitioner is to go up to 42.86% of total lot coverage. We usually round that up to 43%. So you'll see 43% scattered throughout the staff report, just for user error when we're measuring. The request additionally has not been reviewed by building or fire department for the fire pit. So when you're looking at a site plan, if it is approved, there might be changes through permitting if the variance is approved about where the location of the fire pit can go. It might be too close to some of the sheds. Just want to mention that but that's usually worked out at the permitting phase if at any time. So I just want to give some background on lot coverage for a few reasons. So lot coverage exists for a handful of reasoning. So one is managing stormwater runoff, which we commonly hear for lot coverage. And that's why we get our engineer involved in reviewing these applications when they come forward. Another reason we look at lot coverage is to ensure adequate open space and maintaining neighborhood aesthetics, and it reduces overdevelopment. So if you go closer to the city of Chicago, some of the neighborhoods you can see are very developed because it's more urbanized. You see very hardscaped properties, some of them are almost 100% hardscaped with driveways or the buildings themselves. As you approach the suburbs, you generally see more greenery in the yards. There's usually some lot regulation or lot development requirements as you come out from the urban center into the suburbs. This particular application is being reviewed under the what is still the current zoning ordinance, so that Appendix A, so not the new code. I will just mention that there is no change to lot coverage in this district in the new code, as we've discussed previously, so we did not have them resubmit any documents. So you'll see that the findings of fact are from the Appendix A regulations, as currently is still being operated under. So the expansion itself meets all setbacks for zoning. As the petitioner mentioned, they got approval from the Oakwood Homeowners Association, and this was reviewed by our engineer, and the engineer gave some recommendations if planning and zoning finds that the variance is acceptable and can be approved, or if the village board approves. That includes a recommendation that at least 50 square feet of the patio should be constructed of permeable pavers to mitigate any potential drainage issues on the property. And that letter is attached to your staff report if you want to consult it or if you want to give me questions. But I will note I am not an engineer, so I won't have great answers regarding engineering. The lot itself is a smaller lot in the Oakwood subdivision overall. The lot depth specifically is 110 feet when our current code would require 125 feet in lot depth, but they still do meet the minimum area requirement for the zoning district for the lot itself. The variance request should be reviewed under the standards that are in your packet, and I'm happy to go through them. Again, they're the old standards from the existing zoning ordinance because we did not have them resubmit with the new ones because they were already scheduled for public hearing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, staff. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the commission on this issue? Seeing none, we'll go to the commissioners. Commissioner Land, would you begin?
Sure. Scott,
Yes.
I know that was discussed with the new zoning, or at least in other meetings, was about permeable pavers, that permeable pavers and decks used to count as 50%, but now they're being counted as 100%, just for, like, in other words, just as much as concrete is. Has there been a change in the new zoning code, or no?
No, there's been no change to lot coverage or its definition. So it's still the same definition. I believe the definition's in the staff report, and I'll just read it out just so everybody can hear it. So lot coverage is the percentage of a zoning lot area covered by any and all building structures and permanent hardscape improvements. So back a few years ago, we used to allow permeable pavers and decks to be at 50%. So a 100 square foot deck or permeable paver surface would be viewed as 50% lot coverage, or 50 square feet lot coverage, for example. That is not in the new code or this code.
Does the 42.86% coverage that he has, is that including, because he has a deck, so does that count the deck as 100% then?
Correct.
Okay, so if it was a few years ago, that it wouldn't necessarily be 42.86, it would be something less than that.
Correct. So if it was reviewed under that old definition, which it no longer is, it would likely be viewed like that.
Right.
There are some stipulations in that definition at the time, including underneath had to be grass or something permeable, so it can be concrete completely under the deck.
And did you say that the village civil engineer did take a look at the project and that?
Yes, so at the end of the staff report and some of the attachments, I believe it might be right before you hit the application, there is a letter from our consultant engineer and gave some general comments that the petitioner has had a chance to look at prior to. So he provided some recommendations if it's approved.
I'd like to take a look at that again, but did the civil engineer state that, did he say that even if it was just concrete, like, that would be okay, or?
So the way that our engineer reviews these is he's reviewing as if it may be approved and what his recommendation would be for planning and zoning of the village board to put a stipulation on it, so a condition. So he reviewed it, the runoff and everything, he as proposed with the concrete. So that was a 2% increase based on his comments for peak runoff generated by the proposed improvements. And he said to mitigate it, any runoff issues, he would recommend that if it's approved, it should be approved with at least 50 square feet of the area be with permeable pavers. Or I should mention, or equivalent, something that allows the runoff to go through.
You mentioned that you had some water issues. Like, I understand that might have been just like septic, or sorry, not septic, but the sump pump,
yeah.
which might be separate a bit to the backyard. But is there any, to a degree, but is there, do you ever see a lot of ponding in the back of your yard?
Sir,
No?
did prior to that, but since that's been redone, that's 8 years, not a single drop or anything that settles back there. As a matter of, to be completely honest with you, I'm so paranoid I actually put a camera in the back so that I can take a look when things like that happen, and it hasn't happened at all. Because in addition to that, but for my sump pump, I connected the underground to at the end of where the wall goes for the neighbor, there's a kind of one of those plastic things that the water seeps through and connects to underground and goes to the city in the corner. So there's no water formation or pond or anything like that that's currently built out. Otherwise, I wouldn't even consider taking the risk, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's just causing damage to my own house in the long run.
Okay. And then,
Also, I apologize, to add
A little closer to the microphone, you're addressing the whole.
the patio that you mentioned earlier, underneath, just to mention it, it is grass.
You mean the deck?
The deck, I apologize, yes.
yeah. And then your house already has about a 2-foot cantilever. I'm guessing that even if you pave underneath the cantilever, that counts against that makes that adds to 42.86, even though you can't use it, and even though the rain really isn't touching it, but because you're right, is that true to say, or
Yes.
that you're not? Yeah.
To my understanding, that is correct. And one of the things that I considered in the beginning was to do pavers instead completely, as opposed to cement. And one of the reasons I chose to go the cement route was because my analysis that I did, as far as what the rules are according to the city of Westmont, was that that's also considered full coverage. So if I were to do that, when I get a quote, as you can imagine, the pavers to do the same project is almost double the amount of money that would cost me for a cement. So in order to mitigate some of the costs, to bring it down, we switched to having it cement, and then included the fireplace with pavers.
Okay. Let me see. Oh, and then was the applicant required to get a civil engineer, or was it just reviewed by?
No, at this time for planning and zoning applications, we don't require this type of proposal from a residential single-family project. If it was a much larger project, yes. If he has to go through any of the recommendations that the engineer provided, like permeable pavers, if that's tied on to any recommending vote or the final vote of village board. We just require that when he submits for permit, the spec sheet for how those are constructed. So usually it's unilock of some kind.
Thank you. I'm good for questions, but thank you very much for.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Donahue?
I'm good, Chair. I think that the biggest, hurdle you might run into would be the HOA, and obviously you've got the letter from the board president that it's not an issue with them. So I appreciate the back and forth between you and Commissioner Lynn. I have no questions here.
Thank you. Commissioner Sharp?
I have a couple questions, I think, for staff. You may or may not know the answer
Try my best.
to this, but the survey, when a survey is drawn, I'm assuming that is the footprint we're looking at is the primary wall of the facade in the back. And as such, that overhang where there's concrete is not, it's not being double counted, I don't believe, in a survey form. The roof line would be above it.
The surveys, as I'm familiar, is that it'd be to the foundation line, not, they sometimes show like a dashed line for the cantilever, but here they didn't. Something I noticed too is that your survey doesn't actually show the bump out for your fireplace. That I thought looking at a rendering that you have a fireplace bump coming out. So normally that bumps out into the back of the survey, but anyway.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's helpful. Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. I really love the design of the patio. Thank you. I think it's beautiful, and I think it would be a great program to have out back. I'm also, though, concerned, and I want to get some more context regarding this 40% for this area versus 35% for the zone. Is this the only area in the village where the engineer has a different recommendation and there's administrative approval allowed outside of the zoning district, or are there other districts where that's also common?
So it's a little of both. So the zoning district, the underlying zoning district in this case is the R3. R3, as I've stated, is maximum 35%. We have the ability between 35 and 40% to administratively approve a development or proposal that goes above that if it falls between 35 and 40%. If it's not located within known flood area or floodplain or watershed, that type of thing. And that is determined by our engineer. In this case, our consultant engineer determines that by looking at the topography of the area. And then also the DuPage County maps. We do have a lot of properties that are in what I call pre-planned subdivisions. So Oakwood's one of those pre-planned subdivisions. Ashford is one of them. And I believe Deer Creek is also one of them, where they can go up to 40% because of that administrative approval method. We just have it noted in our staff documents because of the detention that they've provided, that basically when we get a permit, we have a list of subdivisions that we look at and we say, oh, that's one of those subdivisions. We know our engineer's going to say yes to this. So we can go ahead and say yes to it. So that is the process we go through. Okay. Since this is above 40%, we lose that ability at the administrative level to do anything.
Okay. I don't know yet where I sit with this. My primary concern is just the variance process. I want to be as fair as possible to everybody. And so when it's a variance, I'm looking for something that makes this project or this site unique. And what I'm seeing is what looks like a very typical lot, for the area, and a very typical house. And there's a lot of homes. I just know from doing work myself in the village, there's a lot of homes that are right up at that maximum lot coverage amount. So people have a hard time adding stoops to their house. They have a hard time routing sidewalks, that kind of thing. But I'm not seeing anything that's uncommon or that is unique about the project that would justify adding an increase. I'm still eager to hear what the remaining commissioners have to say. That's my only hesitation.
One thing I would add is that I did, as part of my documents and analysis to submit to the city, for the case to be considered and approved, I did look at several other properties within the subdivision that would exceed by much more the level of coverage that, for example, my property has. To your
Yeah.
point, to be fair to everybody, right? So I wanted to make sure I'm not the only one in a sense sticking out, right? And being asked to be special. The only thing I would even consider it, because it is a great amount of money to be spent just to build out a patio, is just to be able to actually enjoy the backyard. As you can even see from the pictures right now, we don't use it at all
Yeah,
because there's not that much space associated with it, other than when there's kids running around.
yeah. I think there's also, I'm an architect myself, and I'm envisioning different ways for this to be laid out that has less impervious area and different materials. I know that there's, I don't know how the village would count, like a 2x2 concrete paver and a grid with like 6-inch mow strip between them. That probably would be counted as permeable, I would imagine. Or maybe that becomes the fire pit ring, or maybe that's the main bulk of this. But it seems like you're doubling essentially the size of your current deck, and you're already at the maximum allowed to start with. So I also agree that there's probably many homes that are over, and that's either because they didn't get a permit or the rules have changed over time. Most likely they didn't get a permit. And my concern is you may not have an issue with your runoff in your backyard, but that's because it's functioning properly, and maybe some of that runoff is going to your neighbor's yard. So if you put more hardscape in your backyard, that might increase someone else's problem. And that's just generally how it's thought about as a whole area, as a region, right?
Completely
Like, the water's
understand.
we need the ground to absorb the water.
Absolutely. So one thing to add is the way my property sits, everybody's property behind me or even adjacent to me on the side actually feeds into my yard. So all the water comes down. So I want to your point, I'm super critical myself to make sure that any of the water, because the way that Oakwood is structured, if you look at the properties behind me, it goes this way and then it comes down towards me.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that we doing, the shortcut in any way, I'll be shooting my own self on the foot
No, I understand
on the
that.
long run. So I've definitely, absolutely, completely agree with you, and taking considerations to make sure that that's necessarily doesn't happen. I don't think it would, but just wanted to share that detail as
Yeah.
well.
My house
So all
is
the water
also at
comes
the
down.
lowest. I understand what that's like.
Yeah.
I get flooded. I don't think I have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas.
Welcome. It is a small property. I drove around. I believe I spoke to your dad.
Oh, okay.
He was out front there. And I did not go in the back or anything like that. But you have taken steps to correct the flooding. And it just rained, and my neighbor's water comes across my backyard onto my
Yep.
neighbor's backyard, and you are taking steps to correct that. And it's not functioning area right now. With your improvements and the care that you took and how you made your improvements, I find acceptable. And I support your request.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Peterson.
I like the design. My one question was the fire pit placement, but Scott, you already answered that. When you were showing the pictures, there was existing concrete, and the term you're using is adding on, but actually all that's going to be ripped up and all new
That is correct, absolutely.
going to be put
yes.
in.
Yeah, new structure, yeah.
Like I said, and maybe I'm naive, but I don't think the 2% is that big of a deal. If everyone on the block started coming in, you know, then we might have to say something, but I think this would be fine. I do, though, like I said, I'm in favor of the project, but I do on the findings of fact, the criteria are both number 1 and 2. I don't necessarily agree with those. The plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. I mean, everybody's lot is just your lot. I don't agree with that, but I do like the project, and I think it'll be good for the family and for the neighborhood, and I don't think there's really an issue with it. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Well, I'll be the third commissioner to bring up the criteria number 2 in our findings of fact that I don't see any way that your situation is unique or that your lot has unique circumstances. You have a patio, you want to replace it and make it larger, and that's logical. I take in consideration also the fact that you added extra PVC pumping and piping to the rear of your lot from your sump, and the letter from the HOA showing no objection. So it's not easy situation, and I agree with the others. It is a beautiful plan.
Thank you.
So any other discussion before under public hearing, PZC 0152025, this request from Mr. and Mrs. Rizmani for a zoning ordinance variance under max lot coverage. I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Sharp.
Second?
Second, Donahoe. I have motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yeah, is that an opportunity for me to approve or not? Like, sorry, but I would, I'd approve on condition that a portion per the engineer's request, that recommendation is changed to permeable pavers. I don't want you to get sued by your neighbor in the future, even though they might be okay with it now, they mightn't in the future. So I would opt for permeable pavers.
Staff, how would that work? Do we add that as
It would be either a condition on the motion, I believe.
Let's amend the motion to include a requirement of that at least 50 square feet of the proposed patio consist of permeable pavers. I believe that was the engineer's minimum requirement.
I don't agree with that, so
I'm sorry, what?
I don't necessarily agree with that, so I don't know how to vote.
You can vote on it.
Can you vote on 2 different versions of?
Do we want to do 2 separate votes? One.
Yeah, that's fine. Then let's keep the original motion as is, and if it passes, there can be a subsequent motion to include the condition to include the permeable pavers. I imagine if the first motion doesn't, you're only going to vote on the original motion if the permeable pavers are included.
I don't know how you want to set up the vote, but that's just how I feel. Is that I think that, like, per the engineer's recommendation, I side with the engineer on this.
Let's vote as it's written on the agenda. If someone wants to make a motion to reconsider to approve it as written, but with the permeable paver requirement included, then the commission can reconsider with that condition.
Okay.
Okay. And did everyone get a chance to speak here? So we've got a motion and a second. We've got discussion. Any other discussion? So we will go ahead and vote on the
Okay.
item as it's written. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson votes yes. Commissioner Sharp?
No.
Commissioner Lynn?
And this is not with my,
This is without permeable
as-
paver requirement.
okay, then I go no.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
And Chairperson Carmichael?
Yes. What's the vote?
Passes 4-2.
4-2.
Passes,
4-2.
passes 4-2. Okay, that's our recommendation, sir. And
So much. Appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.
staff will contact you when you appear before the village board. John?
And just the only other comment is, despite the fact that that condition was not included as part of this recommendation, the village board can still, as part of its ordinance approving this, impose that condition of a permeable paver requirement.
Even though it's just a recommendation and it wasn't made as a requirement, I will reach out to my contractor and include 50 square feet in there, even if
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
absolutely. I'd be happy to do it. Thank you.
All right, sir. Good night. Agenda item C is a concept plan presentation for informal discussion only. We have a request from Kaizen Construction Corporation regarding the properties at 129 and 135 East 55th Street in Westmont to present a draft concept plan for proposed planned unit development for the redevelopment of two existing single-family detached residential homes into two 4-unit multifamily buildings. This is a preliminary, internal, and informal discussion for the Planning and Zoning Commission to provide feedback prior to a required public hearing to be held at a future date. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Dominic Lanzito, Lanzito for the record. I'm the attorney for Kaizen Construction. I have also the architect and general contractor here with us today. I've been working closely with Mr. Scott Williams, who's been extraordinarily helpful in trying to bring this development to fruition. This is a project located 129th and 135th East 55th Street, so 55th Street in Wilmette. It is currently a single-family residence in 2 lots that were purchased by my client. The client intends on consolidating those 2 parcels into one and then developing what you will see as 8 townhomes, luxury townhomes. I've been working closely with Mr. Williams, as well as the civil engineer has reviewed the plans. They've gone through at least a couple revisions along the way, and the purpose of tonight's meeting is informal discussion to look at not only the design, the layout, water detention issues, which we're working on with the civil engineer, as well as, what the materials look like, what the concept will look like. And I think this isn't build-a-grade type materials. These are the types of townhomes that I think beautify a neighborhood and serve a vital role in developments in neighborhoods such as Westmont. So with that, I'll go through the slide, and then if you have any specific or technical questions regarding the structures, the materials, and any changes architecturally, because that's not my area of practice, that's not my lane, I stay in my lane. So I will defer to my colleagues, and they can come and speak to you about this project, but I appreciate the invitation and the cooperation and collaboration in this matter. So as I said, I'm Dominic Lanzito. I'm with the law firm Vodison, Denolfo, Hassenbalch, and Castaldo. I'm usually in your attorney's seat. I represent a lot of municipalities and handling planning and zoning board matters. So this is a little bit about the location itself, and large enough for you to see.
And I'll just mention, the commissioners have larger copies in front of them. I know it's hard to read up the screen for some of this, so you can reference it, yes.
Ah, perfect, okay. Makes my life easier. So if you have questions along the way, but this property on Wilmette and 55th Street is across the street from a church. The owners, my clients, have already spoken with the church regarding the development, so we don't want to interfere with their services. And I think there's actually an arrangement or agreement that some of the contractors would be able to park their vehicles during the week at the church parking lot. So I don't see this as an objectionable project from the church's perspective. And what you'll see as we go through these plans, what is abutting Wilmette is technically the back of the townhomes. And working with staff, and specifically Scott, we've had a couple iterations of the plans to where the back of those townhomes, which are going to require some variations, or deviations under the new code. Thank
This
you.
would be the rear elevation.
So the rear elevation
On the
actually,
east side. You're talking.
correct, it actually faces Wilmette, so they've had to make it look more like the front of what the townhome would look like, and my clients did so gladly. And if there's any other changes that want to be seen, that's the purpose of tonight's discussion. So this is the general layout. Originally, there were going to be 2 water detention facilities or areas at the top of that page. I think we've been working with the civil engineer, and I think we're going to be able to meet the calculations with one. And then I think that's where the gazebo is going to go. Yeah. So on the right upper hand corner up here, that'll be a gazebo for the residents. Get a little bit more landscaping and curb appeal to the development overall. The water detention will be fenced off from 55th Street and then along this side. Then Noman. But this will be the general layout. Will be access, and we're going to have to work with Page Department of Transportation for the cutouts and the traffic flow. But we've worked with staff to on these plans to include some landscaping islands in the middle thoroughfare, in the middle drive, and also to break up some of those hardscapes that you'll see with this density.
Sorry, where did you say those islands are going?
I think you can see it better on this slide. So if you look in between, maybe peninsulas is a better word. Here on this drawing here, oh, do you see it on your screen? So
I think it's like,
Oh, those little guys, okay.
So
By the front doors.
right, and what we're going to do, and I think they're going to be at ground level with like a cement curb. So if there's fire services that need to get through, although there's enough room, we believe they have to put their support arms out, that it's not going to interfere with their ingress and egress and first responders. So generally speaking, this is not a formal landscape plan, but these are the types of plants and trees and shrubs that are going to be provided. There's a couple areas where we're going to need deviation on fencing, and we're going to get the approval and work with staff as to the materials, height. So one, it doesn't obstruct, for example, along Wilmette, line of sight, but is also respecting the neighbors' privacy and what the village wants as far as the type of materials and fencing required. But if we can get into further down, so this is the general layout of the first floor of these units. The 2 interior units have a 1-car garage, and the exterior have a 2-car garage with a ground level study. And these plans have changed a little bit too as we've gone back and forth with staff, so that we satisfy or at least alleviate some of the ground coverage issues. The second floor plan, so this is where, I don't want to say typical townhome because there's no such thing, but for the most part, this is the general gathering space, and then the bedrooms on the floor above. But you'll have balconies on all of this. So for these units, the balconies is where we'll need some of that relief with the deviation. And then the third floor, the lofts, it'll be in the HOA agreements because we're not creating another bedroom, but the lofts will be remain open, so not as to create another bedroom, but that'll be another gathering space on the top floor with a master bath and your primary bath, as well as a bathroom for the other bedroom. And these will, oh, I'm sorry, sir.
So you're going to have 2 bathrooms and a water closet for 2 bedrooms and a loft. And it looks like a 3rd bedroom setup
That's why the
with
HOA.
no door.
It's going to be more of a gathering area upstairs. It's not going to be, and that's something we discussed with staff, is it's going to be in the HOA that agreement that you cannot close that in. And that will be a
Well,
condition.
why the extra bathroom?
The bathroom's downstairs.
Well, okay, maybe I'm reading it wrong. I'm looking on the 3rd level. Are there 3 bathrooms?
No, there's just 2. Just 2. The 2 blue.
Okay, it's a walk-in closet, and I'm seeing a water closet. I apologize.
Sorry. And then just a bathroom on the main levels, just so you don't have to go up and downstairs to use the restroom if you have guests.
Too many years in England.
And these are the end units, floor plans, broken out. This is just the same of what you saw, but separated so you can see if it's a little bit larger and easier for you to see because they're not abutting. These are just same drawing. It's just one page for all 3 floors of an end unit. That's all this page is.
So this would be representing also what the unit facing 55th Street, correct?
Yes, 2 units.
Yeah, so just to clarify, so the A floor plan shown here are the 2 end units on each building. So there's 4 units that look like this, and then I believe the next slide is probably going to be the middle units.
Yes, these are the middle units. But this is all,
Thanks.
and this is all 3 levels, obviously, together. So, in Commissioner Sharp, just to be clear, they're not going to be facing 55th, it'll be their side.
Right.
So they actually face each other, and then, but hopefully we can get to the architectural slides. So this is what the front elevation is. These are the elevations that would actually be facing each other with the garages. So in that middle area where you had some of the peninsulas with the landscaping and your main driveway, this is technically the front. And so these are the types of materials, and if either one of you, Dimitri, if you want to come and explain, the types of materials that will be used. You have to sign your name. Just write your name in. Sure. Thank you.
James Cardy. Okay.
Just put your phone in. Just say your name for the record.
My name is Dimitri, last name Bilenka. Okay, we are planning to use James Hardy panels and trims for exterior.
And just so the architects are familiar, it's the cement board, so it's not gonna rot like cedar or warp like vinyl. It has, I think, a 30-year life, so it's a product that's durable, and I think aesthetically pleasing too. But I guess that's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but it's a material that is used on new construction, just because of its durability, its value, and it's frankly maintenance-free. So that's the type of product. This isn't going to be something where they go in and put just vinyl siding and products that really aren't aesthetically pleasing. So this has got a lot of visibility. You have traffic with the church. It's going to be the type of building and the type of construction that I think would be appreciated. It's not going to be just, okay, they're slapping together some builder-grade townhomes and putting them there.
Well, you're using the term luxury apartments. Would you consider that to be a luxurious building material?
I would say yes. I know builders in Elmhurst, they're using this on houses that are 1.5 million plus. And I know that doesn't go as far as it used to
Explain
go.
the garage door layout to us there on the front elevation. The two end units are single car garages.
Other way around, sir.
The two middle units are single car. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes, so these are the end units and these are the single in the middle. And so this is the rear elevation, and this is the rear elevation that frankly is going to also face Wilmette and be what a rear-facing front elevation for some word salad. But this is what we have worked with staff to enhance architecturally as much as possible as a rear facade. So you'll have lower level, small patio, balcony, but then
There's a French door.
and French doors. So you're not using sliders. It's something which I would say, French doors would fall in the luxury category. That's not builder grade.
Is that a perfectly flat roof?
No, that's a pitched roof. So if you look to the right upper corner, so this is the pitch of the roof, and then these come off.
Okay.
I think if you go to the last page of the document, you can see the side view.
So so this is
Oh, okay.
those gables, and then when you go to the next slide, what you're seeing coming off the side here looks flat, but those are those gables.
Okay, I can see it
And then I'll go to the
on-
next slide. So that's a better idea.
Yeah,
So
that's
This is
what
the
I'm looking
gable
at.
area. It is a
Okay.
pitched roof. It's not a flat roof.
Okay.
And then there is some stonework on the front as well. And then it's not just siding all the way up. Well, it'll be hardy board, but different panels with different architectural features.
Actual brick is out of the question?
All the way up.
Yeah, the whole building.
We are planning to use Colorado stone, like 2-inch Colorado stone.
She's talking, I understand that's the...
I'm talking about the whole building.
The whole building as far as being brick.
No, we are using siding.
No, she's asking if it's out of the question, is it cost prohibitive or to do an entire masonry building? That's what she's asking.
It depends of the budget. Definitely.
But it's too bad the rear elevation doesn't look like the front elevation, particularly the side that's facing Wilmette.
So that's the back, and see the front. So is there any way to make the back look more like the front? I think that's, you're saying with some of the stonework.
Well, yeah, I mean, the people who are driving past right
gables.
next to it on Wilmette and walking.
Definitely,
I
we
assume
can
you're
add
gonna-
it stone.
I assume you'll put a sidewalk right on Wilmette, and
It would have there's going to be a sidewalk there, as well as a small patio and a buffer area with landscaping to separate the rear of the house from the sidewalk and give you a little sitting area.
And before we get too far, I know we're in the middle of discussion. I can give some background information as what the planning and zoning approvals would be moving forward as it's proposed right now. So we have an idea of, the process, because this is something that is new in our code that we recently adopted for concept meetings like this. So I can get into the specifics if the chair would like me to. I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay. So yeah, I provided kind of a mini staff report to everybody that lays out some of the items. So the first step, well, first let me backtrack a little bit. I've been working with their team for some time now, gone back and forth on a few designs. So they've already provided an application and submitted fees and everything, got one round of review in. And then that was under the old code when we reviewed it the first time, and now we have new code. So this project is required to be processed as a planned unit development. The reason it is required is because it's 2 buildings on a single lot being proposed. So that is one of the requirements in the zoning ordinance, in the new zoning ordinance, and the current one, to be processed as a planned unit development. With planned unit developments, as we've discussed previously, we have some negotiating we can have with the developers on restrictions or regulations that are integrated into what we call planned unit development agreement of some kind. So he mentioned already a few things that we've discussed being included in a planned unit development agreement or HOA covenants. One of the big things that we noticed was their drive aisle has to be maintained at 24 feet in width for the fire department. So they're not allowed to have any parking on the outside of these units. All the parking has to take place inside or in the visitor parking area. So that's a fire department requirement. But for discussion tonight, we can range from architectural details to the overall site and location of buildings, structures, whatnot. Nothing is binding tonight. There's no vote. We'll take all the comments the commissioners provide. We will talk with the developers and petitioners to see what changes they would like to make. Just because you say you want something doesn't mean it's going to happen. It could be cost prohibitive for them to do. It could be not feasible for other regulations. We also have to keep in mind that 55th Street is under DOT regulations, so we don't have a lot of say on what happens there with the entrance. We've already let them know that they should set up a pre-application meeting with DOT at some point to know what their requirements may be on a project like this.
Do you mean regarding its width or location?
It would be width. Location could be altered slightly depending on what they say. They could also require different turning requirements, so a right out only or a right in only on 55th. So that's largely up to DOT, and we can have some discussion on that, but we don't know what their requirements will be at this time.
That's just the 55th Street side, the
Correct.
Wilmette Street
And then
side is us.
Wilmette is village owned public right of way, so we have jurisdiction over there about how to kind of design that.
So you've had no contact with DuPage County DOT at this point? The arrows in and out, both on Wilmette and then 55th, are just, you wouldn't, it's hard for me to think that DOT would allow left turns in there if people come from the east or left turns out. I mean, with Wilmette right there. And
Yeah, I'll say historically, we've seen similar developments on like 63rd Street where they place that requirement as you can only take a right in and a right out. It does cause some issues if you're coming in the opposite way, if you're not near a side street, but this one you are near a side street, so I would expect that from DOT.
And that intersection is awful.
well, with the downhill coming from the east, people
Yeah.
pop right over that. And
I mean, cars go into the street department's fence all the time. And that, this is gonna add a lot more traffic at that corner.
well, 8 units is not.
Not huge, but
It's not, I mean, it's not
more
gonna be a
than-
whole lot more traffic, but the traffic flow is something that's awfully awkward unless you're, I mean, would you put in a sign saying no left turn, or would you put in a pork chop forcing a right
And
turn
I
only?
suspect, after speaking with Scott, that the Department of Transportation would likely require right in, right out only on 55th, and Wilmette will be a different
I would imagine.
ingress and egress. And I think there's such close proximity to one another that I don't think is going to materially hinder ingress or egress out of those units.
Has anyone spoke with John Yater about tree preservation? Both those properties have beautiful, really mature aged trees, and I would hate to see both of those lots just clear cut and little tiny dinky things put up. What?
Yeah, so we did provide all plans to Public Works and the Forester in particular, and they provided comments back to them that they have.
Okay.
Largely, they look at the public trees and tree protection for Public Works. We have an external landscape reviewer that looks at feasibility of different species surviving, and now it'll be based on the new landscape codes. But usually their first recommendation is to preserve, because sometimes if there's heritage trees on site, one of the requirements we have is we need to get a tree survey done for this development. But if there's a heritage tree on site, it would cost the developer to take it down as a
Okay, so
cash
they're
in
gonna
lieu
be
fee.
totally involved when this gets going.
Correct. I also just want to mention two other things. One is on Wilmette. The engineer is requiring a sidewalk be put in. Right now, there is no sidewalk. So if eventually it gets approved, that whether it be a requirement through the consolidation of the lots, it's a requirement. You'll notice there's a somewhat newer house to the south here. That's where their sidewalk is right now because we require them for all new single-family homes. So there's kind of a continuation of the sidewalk that would need to happen here. And I just want to list off some of the deviations that based on the plans they've submitted, they would need right now. So there's a deviation to the required street side setback to allow principal building on the east side to Wilmette. So it's in basically a front yard setback. There's a deviation requirement for the street side setback for the patios, which is an accessory structure on that same side on Wilmette. There's a deviation from the required street setback to allow the balconies above the patios to sit nearer to Wilmette. And then the last one is they're proposing a fence along Wilmette that will likely need a deviation from our requirements. I don't know if they're showing these plans, or that was shown in other plans prior that we've seen. I would like the commissioners to jump in regarding the fencing and what they think the fencing, what best.
Well, that would be up north of the buildings, the northeast corner.
Yeah, what can be up for discussion, so they have some idea, because I know that they've had questions on is where a fence should be located on that east building, how far north it should go, and what type of fencing. If it should be solid, split rail,
Are you talking about on Wilmette?
along Wilmette.
Why would there be a fence there at all?
I think you're talking like starting at the northeast corner of the building
Basically.
and going
then all
going
that's-
up, and then it'd be a 45-degree angle for visibility.
District. Oh, well, what about all this part?
So
There'd be
the
sidewalk.
the fencing is because they're proposing patios in what normally would be a front. So they want some protection for the outdoor use of their area in what would be their backyard, which is really their front.
Okay, so inside the sidewalk then?
Yes.
Fencing. Uh-huh.
All the way in front of the building?
And
Or
Is there a way to
or
highlight?
in front of each unit.
It's between the building and Wilmette.
But all the way,
Along the property.
It could be all the way along. It's up to you. That's what I'm trying to get you to.
You're saying you could box each back door, or
Yes.
one-
Yes. So they could do it for each unit. They could box it in. They could
so
just
they
have
box
one
it up,
long split
create
rail
a-
fence.
Create a tiny little backyard for each unit then,
Yeah.
right along Wilmette.
And it would be,
The landscaping is outside the sidewalk. The landscaping they're presenting here is outside the side. no,
There's some landscaping shown here that will need to be removed because it's still in the public right of way once they resubmit. So,
it'd be parkway, sidewalk, fence.
correct.
but not, it would be a 4-foot, and then we would come to you with what is most aesthetically pleasing. Obviously, it's not a 4-foot privacy fence, but it would be something that's decorative, but it gives you some separation. So people just can't walk into your patio.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't detract from that elevation.
Yeah, so it could
Well,
be,
that, the east side needs some dressing up, but, fencing might be part of a way to do it.
Yeah,
So-
well, you wouldn't want solid.
no, and I don't think that's,
Anticipating that, ma'am, no.
it could be, like I said, split rail, it could be the aluminum fencing, not chain link, but the wrought iron type of fencing as well. Something more aesthetically pleasing than your normal vinyl
I
solid
think
fencing that we see
the
more.
wrought
mostly.
iron looking would be more aesthetic pleasing than split rail. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I can see it doing some really creative things, but if you could box in each back door there, people put their dog out, things like that, where they couldn't otherwise.
And this is why we're coming to you for these ideas and, so we can get your input and then incorporate them into our plans. Or my client's plans, not mine.
Is there parking allowed along both sides of Wilmette?
I don't believe so in this case. I think the streets aren't wide enough for parking here. I
what I'm
don't
thinking.
recall if there's a no parking sign.
Yeah, I don't.
I can imagine that. I know during larger events at the church, like the soccer, we see some parking happen there. But
Generally, most of it's up on
Yeah,
the
it's
church
usually-
property, but
for the most part, yeah. But I can't imagine parking being allowed there.
I see you allow only 3 spaces for guest parking.
That's not very many.
Doesn't seem to be very typical of it, even an 8-unit.
And we did remove, if more parking is required, we did remove one drainage pond. We may have to put a couple spots there.
On the north side or on the northwest side of.
Close, yes, to 55th. But that's something we obviously would address.
So there's, excuse me, there's garages in the center between the 2 units, and there's 3 visitor spots right now?
Yeah, the southwest corner.
Each unit has a garage, so the outside ones have 2-car garages. The 4 inside units each have 1-car garages, and then there's 3 parking spots.
And you cannot park a car in front of a garage. It has to be in the garage. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so one of the requirements from the fire department based on this design right now is that they will not allow, and this will be written into any HOA covenants or planned unit development agreement, no parking of vehicles on the exterior of the garages because they can't get their fire truck apparatus through.
Yeah, got it.
With
And
that
it's on the
minimum width.
southwest side, the 3 spots, if I'm looking at this correctly, right?
Yeah.
Down here.
Okay.
So the plumber and the electrician gonna have to go down in the guest parking.
That would be the preferred method, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where they would put more parking, but
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah, this would be the area I would anticipate being available.
To the north?
Right here, yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't think I see the mouse, I know.
To the-
Below the gazebo?
Yeah, somewhere in here.
Oh, okay. But
This was going to be.
not down toward the drainage, not toward the northwest corner because of the water.
Correct, because so this was going to be a drainage pond, but they were able to re-engineer it to make this usable. So if they have to, like I said, include or incorporate a couple more spaces, that's something that they would be able to do.
You plan to screen the AC units, correct?
Screening of AC units? Yeah, like the AC
Condenser
units.
units.
No, it's not necessary because we are hiding units right here.
Right, but on the Wilmette side.
Oh, he's talking on this side.
And it's this side.
Yeah, they can put screening up.
Yeah.
Right. I share a lot of other commissioners' comments about the Wilmette elevation. It'd be nice to clean it up and make it look a little bit more orderly like the inside elevation. Like yours, you put, like say looking at the rear elevation,
Okay, I went the wrong way, I apologize. that's the front. And that would be away from it, and then this is the rear.
Yeah, so like say those, even those two small, maybe 2 foot by 2 foot windows at the top, I think those just go into, looks like into walk-in closets, like, do they?
On the,
The top middle of the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You see, they're like, there's two small windows that,
not remember now.
The two middle units.
Yeah.
I think they're just going into walk-in closets.
This, in the 3rd floor, hold on.
And the ground floor.
I think the middle units, that's your kitchen and dining on the 2nd floor?
Right.
Okay.
I'm
It's a
talking about
sliding door and a
He's talking about the 3rd floor, though.
Oh, 3rd
Third
floor.
floor.
Right.
Yeah, a bedroom and a walk-in closet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's two.
Yeah, it's a walk-in closet window.
Yeah, just for the sake of the elevation, I'd almost would rather cut them, like I think they look kind of, they look a little silly compared to the other row windows, but now I don't mean to get too much into it, but it would be nice to get some gables on the back. Can we get some gables facing the Wilmette as well, just like how you have gables facing the interior street?
Sure.
And maybe with the same decoration. Personally, I don't know if you're actually planning to do those 2 dormers in the middle of the front elevation. I don't think anyone's gonna notice or see them. You have 2 dormers in the middle of the top of the front elevation. I don't know.
We can edit.
I shouldn't get into it. Pardon?
We can edit, definitely, yeah.
Right, I know, actually, those 2 little dormers I think are almost pointless. Like, but
I would say the two you're talking about on the rear elevation of those 2 dormers would be for light, just letting in external light more than anything else, wouldn't it?
right, the rear elevation, there is no dormers. So what are you talking about?
The 2 little windows.
Those 2.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the walk-in closet, sir?
I'm speaking of the walk-in closet. I just see two little windows that don't match any of the other windows on that floor. And sometimes when people look at see a window like that and they think, oh, there's a toilet underneath, or it's like it just doesn't. Like if you want, you could go full height with it, but like the other windows. But then you're going to be cutting away from rod and shelf inside the closet. But I'd almost would be okay with almost doing without them. But it just looks kind of silly to see a nice sets of big windows and then the 2 little guys in the middle of nowhere. Sorry for getting picky about. More so though, I guess, is to put some gables on the back roof would be nice to kind of dress up, just as you did on the front elevation. It'd be nice to kind of have a similar treatment on the back, like to kind of jazz up the roof, because the roof looks pretty like just plain. It's not. I know it's not a flat roof, but it just looks kind of bland compared to the rest. I almost feel bad for the middle units. Their balconies are kind of small, so even though I might not help this back elevation much, but I almost want to make those balconies larger. They're just 3 foot by 12 foot. And I'm guessing that being the 2nd floor is like their main kind of floor, that's where the grill's gonna go and.
To even go under the kitchen window? Is that what you're?
Yeah,
Suggestion?
I wonder if you could widen it, but at the same time, be aware of how it treats the exterior elevation. I'm not trying to make it look worse. I'm just trying to get some more living space kind of thing. And then the terraces at the front of the 2nd floor, I just find that it's a bit awkward when your neighbor is only a railing, like you're. I don't know how you plan to use how people plan to use that space, but I guess I don't know if it should be better to have a wall between the 2, but I know I'm picking it apart.
I have a question just for the terraces, for those 2 middle unit buildings. If you go to A2.1, is there a dividing wall or something dividing those terraces?
Yeah,
Or a fence or something, balcony?
it's not here.
Thank you, Scott. That's what I was pointing
Yeah.
at. It just seemed, looking at a drawing, it looked like it was just a railing, and it just seemed.
It'd be this one, 2nd floor plan building assembly.
Or sheet A2.2.
Yeah, either of them.
That was A21 you're
So you
talking.
took-
Oh, you're right.
This is
Yeah, that's the
condition?
one. So the ones that I believe Commissioner Lin is speaking of are, I don't know which direction that is, but The terrace is in the middle units near the family room. I think he's asking if there's anything dividing those terraces,
Definitely.
and what would that be? Or if you extending the wall of some kind.
They look separate.
Like, if you extend a wall, it makes it even more cave-like in there. But at this point, and then if it's a railing, then it's pretty much one, you're sharing that with your neighbor, like very close. But, I mean, if that's something that you prefer, then I guess. Sorry, did you have another comment?
No, that was it.
We give them more space and just get rid of it.
Is it just a railing between those two terraces anyway?
Right
In
here.
front?
Yeah, right here, right?
Is that a railing?
Yes. No, we can do it solid fence, like separation.
But then he's saying his concern is it'd be dark and too small.
I guess maybe a question for the commission. Would the preference be to not have the terrace there and make the balconies larger? Would that be better than having so many outdoor areas? If that makes sense. Or if there's no preference, that's fine too.
Is it ever the case, I don't do a lot of residential and I guess I don't pay close enough attention. Is it ever the case that tenants, let's say it's an apartment building, would they share a terrace, an undivided terrace? Does that ever happen? Do people ever get along, is what I'm asking.
Never.
You must assume not.
It's not bad, but my parents downsized and moved into a townhome similar to this in Westmont off of 63rd, and there's constantly battles with neighbors about lights, about cigar smoke, about grill smoke. Not saying it's a situation, but if there's two families that don't like each other in those two middle units, I mean, Lord knows there's going to be letters every week about what's going on in that other unit.
No. We can flip it units opposite, like make the not
The terrace on the outside of the units
Right.
are separated.
right.
Yeah, it might not be a bad idea to extend the balconies and remove those and increase the family room size.
Just flip it units that we can.
I like the idea of flipping it, because then you
Yeah,
keep
right.
the architectural form.
Oh, you move the terraces on the,
Yeah, just
Right.
put them on
Got
the
it.
outside,
Yeah.
and then they're still,
Thank you.
they're separate from each other, and you haven't lost geometric interest.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Thank you. I already like that better. Like,
To flip it?
to flip the middle units, right? We're talking about to mirror each middle unit, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, and then actually that helps the balcony at the back too, because then that separates them a little bit more.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
Right. I'm sorry to change the topic again, but like the end units, the dining room, I think I saw a dimension where it's just 7'10". That's very,
Tight,
pardon?
very tight.
It's very, very tight. Like, I mean, because it's not, if it was a room on its own, that might be okay, but that's not only a dining room, but that's also a passage to get to the staircase that you'll have to use very frequently. So I almost don't, I think it's a bit misleading to show a nice grand dining room table, because that won't be the case. I shouldn't say the word misleading. I know that it's just what they call a block, but yeah, it'd be nice to get some more room at the back of these units. In a way, I'd almost would like to pull some of those bathrooms and things towards the front, but I also understand that you're limited on the first floor from the garage, the depth of the garage, that you have to maintain that. So, in a way, I'm sure you guys want to do it too. I almost want to just make all these units bigger, but but I understand that there's limits to the site. So, it's always nicer to be bigger, right? So, but I like how the back of the end units at least has nice wide covered balcony. Like I said, the ones in the middle units, their balconies are shared with their neighbors, and they're small, each of them, whether it's the balcony or the terrace. And thank you for mentioning that idea of flipping the middle units. I think that helps a lot. If those balconies then are on in regards to Wilmette, I wonder if, like, it's done many times, I'm sure you've seen it in the city of Chicago, where there's porches that take up the whole front width, something that they treat as, they don't just do a cantilevered porch, that they would also do kind of a masonry wing walls that go up and then make up like a gable at the top. Now, I'm kind of jumping ahead as in, I don't know if that's the exact solution to solve the front, but that's just one approach that I wonder is if that's possible. Now, to do those wing walls though, that would probably encroach into a setback, would it? If you did masonry wing walls to kind of to help separate those balconies?
Yeah, but I believe for architectural detail, it's a deviation, so it's not, doesn't have to be the strict standards of a variance in this case. So if planning and zoning feels that the architectural detail is more important than meeting the setback, then
Okay.
the staff, it would just be another listed item in the planned unit development.
Okay. Personally, I would like something like that. And again, I'm guessing of what the elevation would look like, but rather than having balconies that, I mean, we've all seen just balconies just hanging off a building, but this would kind of give it a bit more form. I think you would agree.
Recessed.
Pardon?
Recessed.
Yeah, I get like by frame, like by boxing them in with, I mean, it could be masonry columns on the ends or so, and then tying it in with a roof at the top, like that. Yeah, I think you know what I'm getting at. So,
Yes.
It is of course challenging when you're just like there's a lot of space confinements, and even though I might say something or we might say something to make it sound like it's easy, I know that it's not always. It's very you try to move one thing on one floor and it affects something on another floor. Yeah. So is it a truss floor? And it's a truss roof, I'm sure, but is it truss floor too?
I'm sorry.
Is it truss floors? Nice. Okay. So all right then. Sorry. What's the ceiling heights throughout? I think it's noted 9 foot throughout. Is it?
We have to do it 9. It's an elevation we represent.
No.
Yeah, where is it?
I saw on the.
It's 2 first floor 9 foot and 8 foot in the bedrooms.
And the top floor is 8 foot.
8 foot, right?
Yeah. Is there? I don't. Are you running up to the max height of the building?
Correct.
Is that
Almost. Yeah. We are proposing 35 feet. It's maximum building height.
okay? Can we? Are you planning to do a tray ceiling in the master?
No.
Can we just if it's luxury? Oh no. Okay.
Huh?
Oh, because of the truss.
No, trusses you can design whatever you want, but
That's what I thought. That's.
That's good architecture.
If that could be considered, maybe, but
right.
Could I ask? Could I
No,
ask?
go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
Did I interrupt someone? This planned unit development, that's what this is called, right?
Correct.
And this is under the new zoning ordinance.
Correct.
So we can wrap a lot of what would be variances into this design ultimately.
Correct.
So if we want to provide a 10-foot ceiling on the first floor or something, that would be easy for this commission to review and approve if it makes this project more successful. I just want to keep that in mind, and I feel the same way about setbacks to Wilmette, as well as a lot of these discussions that we're having. We want the project to succeed, so we want to hear ideas. Like if you have ideas where you feel held back by what would be normal zoning regulation, don't hesitate to propose them, and we could review them. I have a lot of other things, but I think I cut somebody off, so. Jill, did you have?
I just, if I understand this right, so each building has the 2 middle units, and so that's 4 in total. So, I mean, these are big townhomes, so if a couple buys one of those, they are only allowed to have 1 car? So there's 4 units where you can only have one?
They could always put, we don't usually get into what the parking would be on a site in these
I
type
know,
of ones,
I'm just
but
trying to
it would-
understand.
Yeah, so the guest parking that's shown on the southwest corner of the property could not be guest parking. It could be tied to one of those units and just not indoor parking.
But then
Okay,
you have a
I'm
problem
just-
of where desk park.
Correct. So it's a give or take.
Well,
I will
'cause I
mention-
don't know any couple that only just has one car. I mean, everyone's got,
Good point, but it's more and more common that
I'm just trying to get a gist for the project, and I think that's kind of, I mean, if people buy the unit, do you tell them that? Or, I just think since nobody can park outside, it's kind of restricting the,
I think they're gonna park outside. I'm really surprised that the fire department, I mean, people are gonna park their cars outside. I don't know how you avoid that.
Usually what happens is people do it and then they get in trouble.
is there going to be a striped fire lane on the building? I know that's oftentimes required for multifamily buildings, not necessarily this type of building.
No.
But if there's a concern about vehicles parking in front of the building that could inhibit fire access, that could be a requirement. I imagine in any preliminary reviews, fire department would have brought that up if it was a requirement.
so technically the driveways aren't long enough to park a car? Is that the issue?
That's the
Because of the width
It's the
of the
width.
fire trucks and
It's the
apparatus.
width right here.
The outriggers,
It has to be so wide for the fire trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's not just the truck, it's the outriggers. and
yeah,
everything
so
else.
when the truck is operating, the fire truck, they have to stabilize. So,
You have to keep it clarity.
yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I
even if
understand
you
all
had-
that, but it just dawned on me that if you could only have one car in half of the units, it's kind of,
I understand that point. I think the developer would have to have confidence in the market to know what people
yeah.
are looking for and advertise it as such. And if someone had 2 cars, they probably wouldn't be interested in, buying a unit here because there's no place to put their second car, or they'd have to store their second car off-site somewhere.
And I'll mention for zoning, they do meet the minimum right now as shown. That's why they're showing that many spaces.
I was just trying to,
Yeah, and I'll say, and I think you guys already mentioned this, I think they're open to adding some more spaces to the north, because now they have the retention pond, or detention pond can be removed, assuming that doesn't add to any detention needs, but
That's based on a bedroom count?
yeah.
Right.
and my only other comment is the 2 houses,
To the west.
yeah, like, especially the first one next to these 2, what will happen with like light and air
To the west.
on 55th Street, in between,
Well, what I'll mention is the underlying zonings are R4, so it's a
oh,
permitted.
those 2 houses are?
Everything along that strip is R4, which allows for multi-unit buildings permitted by right.
Okay, so that's not,
Yeah,
even
so,
though there's like 4 houses in a row, that's not residential?
it is residential.
But 4.
It could be, R4 district allows either single-family, detached, attached, or multifamily. This is considered multifamily.
Because I know it's kind of a small house, and if you put 2 giant buildings next to the house,
Yeah, you need to pick up buy those next 2 lots to the west. Then you
Then we'll
got,
have all the room we can for all the
then
parking
you
we
got
need.
a piece of property you can really,
because we have anything, I know when they were gonna build something over here several years ago, the neighbors came and complained that they'd get no light or no, air.
Yeah, there will be a public hearing for this.
Okay.
And they'll be notified of the development.
Okay.
Again, things like deviation from height, as Commissioner Sharp mentioned, could be of consideration if they feel shadows or lighting or landscaping's an issue. But yeah, they'll be notified if the development moves forward.
Can I ask about the detention that you're showing? Is that going to be, it's often seen in the village that's like planted with tall reeds and like native grasses. So is that what it's intended to be, or is that going to be more of a drop? Is it a retention pond or a detention?
It's really dry.
Is it?
I think it's going to be designed as a dry detention.
Okay.
It's much into civil engineer. He's designed it.
Yeah, I know they don't have their civil engineer here tonight. They've been working closely with our staff engineer to figure it out.
I'm just trying to picture what, because I myself live on 55th Street, so my default is I care about what the 55th Street elevation is. It's a major artery for the
Arterial.
village. You know, as you drive through Westmont, we're very north-south oriented, but 55th is a very busy arterial roadway. I'm thinking, how is this building going to look? The side is the front of the major roadway, but it is set back, which helps. The gazebo helps. I think as any planting you have in those, what I would consider the front yard, just from 55th Street, or the side yard on this, planting's going to help. The detention should look nice. It should look like a nice facility, not like I've seen some CMU or retaining blocks with just a lawn that no one can access. That's fenced in. That looks awful. It should look something more native, like a native planting area.
And we haven't, to that point, we haven't completed landscaping plans, and we obviously can work it all.
Yeah, and I'll mention, just so the commission knows, that for detention areas, they're regulated a bit differently than the rest of the landscaping on site, because usually there's best management practices where it filters the water before it goes in and sits.
And ideally without a fence around it.
Yeah. And our engineer, basically they have a 3-year waiting period to make sure everything's matured correctly and they're maintained with a bond of some kind that we hold on to make sure it's maintained.
Okay. What's the plan for garbage? How does garbage work in this?
I think there's garbage stalls in the units themselves, and then it's put out for collection.
We had it in the garage.
Yeah, that was one of the initial
Yes.
discussions.
Okay, so they just set it out on their little drive outside their garage?
On pickup
door?
day.
On pickup day,
Correct.
okay.
Scott? Or sorry, did you have another comment?
No, I'm just thinking.
Sure. Scott, is there street parking allowed on Wilmette?
I'd have to double check. I don't believe so, because it's what we consider a unimproved street, because there's no sidewalks. So it has kind of a smaller width. So I don't believe so, but I can't say for certain off the top of my head. They just resurfaced it, I think, less than a year ago, though. Public Works.
Is it curbed?
I don't believe so. I think a portion of it is. Again, it's one of those areas that was slated to be resurfaced. Last time I was out there was prior to the resurfacing. So.
I just, of course, would imagine if they're tight for parking that they're going to street park on Wilmette.
Yeah.
You know, or at least guests would if all the guests.
I would just, my guess would be it wouldn't be allowed. That'd be my guess. For 2 reasons. It's pretty close to that intersection. So.
Did you say there was some agreement with the church?
I believe they have an agreement for probably when construction or demo starts to help utilize that property, so they're not taking up Wilmette.
That's correct.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any agreement for like parking or anything like that for the residents.
There's also no storage allowed on that lot, and sometimes that parking appears to be awfully long-term,
Correct. Yeah.
some of the vehicles that are back there,
Yeah. If it's not associated with the institution.
different.
Yes.
I think the gazebo is a nice feature. I think a nice fence would be a nice feature. Additional landscaping to make the project really look nestled in would be good, and especially screening at the air conditioning units, like plant, boxwoods, anything like that, would be required. I'm in support of it. There's just those concerns. Parking is the biggest concern to me. I'm surprised it meets our zoning code.
Dimitri?
Yes.
Lenzito, you have any questions for us or
Thank you for
comments
your
you'd like
comments,
to?
guys.
I thank you for your input. We do appreciate it. We know your concerns, and these are actually some of the concerns that were probably echoed in our meetings earlier. But staff has been wonderful to work with, and we're not trying to cut corners. My clients are not trying to cut corners, so we'll try to address some of the issue of gables, and I'm not an architect. You said wing walls? Is that right?
Or either, like masonry columns maybe for the balconies.
Right. So I'll let the architects and the engineers deal with that. And then we can maybe run a couple ideas and a couple different elevations by and see what's appealing when we go through the plan process. Because I don't think that's structural. I mean, it's an architectural feature, but it's not going to be structural in nature, I wouldn't think.
Well, the columns, they would be.
Those
maybe,
could be, yes. But some of the decorative features or the other, I mean, I don't think putting a gable on is going to be, it's just a matter of integrating with the windows and how it lays out and looks. I think is going to be the biggest issue for this.
Yeah, I don't have that many structural concerns with the project. It was most of our comments, I think, has been aesthetic. If that's
Yeah, we will flip it unit
Yeah.
to split the stairs.
And then we'll follow up with Scott.
Improve the met elevations.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming in. This has been our first of this type of meeting.
Yeah, so the next time you would see them would be once they go in for a public hearing. So the process with plan unit developments is first concept plan meeting. Well, technically first is pre-application meeting, which they've already done. Then concept meeting at a commission is optional, but we always recommend it for plan unit developments especially. And then the next part of this would be they would come for a public hearing for their concept or development plan. A development plan is not as specific as a site plan. It just shows where the general dimensions are for the property and the site itself, including like detention areas are kind of set in place and parking areas so we know where they're going. They'd request a special use for the planned unit development, and then they'd come back for the site plan approval at the end and the planned unit development deviations. So it's kind of a three-step process for them. The site plan and development plan can go together though, so you might see that happen with this project because it's a more developed project than starting from scratch. So, but the next time you'll see them would be for a public hearing. All right.
Did we receive
then-
comments for tonight?
Yeah, so I will mention that these meetings are recorded, so you'll have something to go back to, and then we'll have minutes before the next month's meeting. So,
Appreciate it.
all right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Gentlemen,
Thank you so much.
spasiba. До свидания. Okay, next item is open forum, and seeing no one who wants to address the commission on anything not on the agenda, we'll move on to our miscellaneous general updates. Our next regular PZC meeting would be on the second Wednesday of September, the 10th. I believe at this point, there's nothing on the proposed agenda, so it's possible we could get a night off.
Correct, and we just let the administration know, so it'll likely be canceled. But we will notify you once it's
Okay.
authorized.
And we got the sheet in our packet, and the reminder, the American Planning Association Illinois Chapter Annual Conference at the Old Post Office on the 8th through the 10th of October. And the Plan Commissioner training that they do on the last day every year has been canceled / postponed to a online Zoom training on the 29th of October, which I highly encourage everyone to participate in. And if anyone would like to go in Chicago to this annual conference, contact staff and they'll set it up for you.
So we have budgeted for going to any APA sessions down in the city, or the training, which will take place in October. That's a Zoom online training, basically, for newer commissioners. You get to ask questions. Nothing's recorded. There's a lot of back and forth with the people presenting. I believe this year it is director for, I want to say, displays off the top of my head. But sometimes it's the director in Downers Grove that presents as well. So, and they usually have an attorney present to answer questions. So I highly recommend to go, especially since we just updated the zoning ordinance, so it'd be a good refresher.
And for the regular conference, so the village no longer will pay for our hotel rooms. Next time, I'd like to specifically thank Tom Sharp for coming back from your retirement. And your contributions to our zoning ordinance update were more than significant, and we certainly appreciate it. They're very valuable, and thank you. Thank you, Tom. And we look forward to perhaps some further participation.
Maybe a third time I'll come
maybe
back.
with regard to with our redoing the comp plan. We'll
Yeah. No, it was a pleasure getting to know new members of the board and just kind of having another go at it, but I'm gonna continue my retirement for now. Thank you.
just one other thing that we are invited 3rd of September. I believe it's a Wednesday at 5 p.m. at the TICO, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Center on 63rd Street for the annual Volunteers Appreciation Dinner. And that's always a fun time. And that's all I have. Anybody else have anything else? If not, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, sure.
Second, Thomas.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Discussion, seeing none. All in favor, raise your right hand. This meeting is adjourned at 7:48.